Recently, what I've started doing is I've started observing my breath, um, and that's how I meditate now. Is that I observe my in breath and my out breath. The thing about observing your breath is actually really enlightening. I totally recommend if you do meditate, or if you don't, obviously start. But if you do meditate, the breath meditation is something that has actually brought a lot of different insights to me about my own body, about my breath, about my life in general. Because um, interesting enough, the way you breathe is the way you live, and that kind of connection never really came to me before. It's something that is something that I'm just learning right now after 32 years. Surprising, but I've realized a bunch of different things. So I'm just gonna talk about it. The first thing I realized is that I my out breath, so my breathing out is much longer. I would say 5 to 10 times longer sometimes than my in breath. And I think that's actually delineates how I live my life. Is that I'm a giver. I give more than I receive, and that is apparent even in the way I breathe. I take in less than I give out, and so I've been trying, to balance it out a little bit as much as possible. I always want to be a giver. That is just who I am. I am a giver. I want to give more than I receive, but not disproportionately, too disproportionately. Right now it's 5 to 10 times as much, and I'd rather it just be 2 to 3 times. So I've been focusing whenever I can, whenever I do remember. I've been focusing and trying to make sure that my in breath, is as long or close to my out breath. It's extremely hard for me actually. It's something that's not instinctual. It's actually more instinctive for me to give more than I receive. When I am receiving, I get really, and this is life and in breath, I get really uncomfortable. I get upset. I don't know how to receive properly. I try to give it back. Um, I feel like I don't deserve it. So obviously these are all these are blocks that I'm working with myself, and blocks that I help my clients work through as well, because every one of us has certain blocks like these or something else. The second thing I've noticed that was really interesting to me is that focusing on your breath is just extremely hard. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to focus completely on the entire breath. So every second of that breath, I'm focusing on it. So, and then every single moment of my out breath, same thing. So in breath, out breath, I try to focus on every single second of it. It's actually really interesting to me because what happens is that I will start off really, really, really gung ho, like I always do in life as well. And then I'll get distracted, and I'll have a thought pop up, or I'll notice something in my body that I get distracted by. And then close to the end, I'll realize, oh shoot, I was supposed to be following my breath, and I'll come back to it, right? So that's actually how I live my life as well, and it's something that I've been noticing about how I'm a good starter. That's something that's my personality. I'm extremely good at starting things, starting projects. But then midway through, or once I start noticing, or I feel like I'm not really making progress, or I feel like I'm not really seeing results, I'll kind of lose interest. And then something will happen to trigger something. So maybe a client will show interest in something, or I'll notice that I'm actually getting some traction out of the stuff that I did in the beginning, and that'll re-energize me, and I'll feel interested again. And then if that happens, usually like 3/4 of the way, and then I'll finish it. I'll finish the project, or I'll decide I don't want to do this anyways. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to follow your breath in order to learn these things about yourself. I always knew that I was a good starter, and not as good at finishing. But for some reason, just noticing this about myself through breath has actually reinforced it a little bit more. And so I've been able to focus on it a little bit extra during the day. So Whenever I'm in that mood where I'm ignoring a project or I'm stopping it, it triggers something in my mind, and I'm like, all right, fine. You know what? I need to get back to this. I've been doing this project for a while. It's something that I've started. Let's see how it goes. So it'll kind of remind me, it'll trigger me, and I'll get back to it. Also, I've noticed that and last thing, this is the last thing, is that if you change something in your breath, it changes your life. So it's it's like a virtual change in your breath changes reality, your RL, your real life, you know. And that was something that was really, really weird for me when I first noticed that. I couldn't believe that something so ethereal, something so diffusive, you know, something that is just not really real, is just, it's breath, it's air, you know, you can't even see it. Something so ethereal can actually change your life. It was just miraculous to me, but it actually did. When I did start noticing my breath, you know, I've been starting to focus a little bit more on receiving rather than giving. I've also started focusing on my entire project rather than just, you know, parts of it that I'm interested in. So changing my breath or focusing on my breath in a different way has changed my life. And so these are, not everyone is going to be interested in changing their life by changing their breath. You know, they rather, you know, write their goals out or do something more substantial, more tangible. So obviously my coaching sessions are not going to work for everyone. I don't actually choose everyone or go along with everyone who replies to my advertisements, because there has to be a fit. The things I'm working with, they're very subtle, and they don't take time necessarily, but they're extremely subtle, and a lot of times you might be like, I don't really think this is gonna work. So if you don't believe in it, it's not gonna work for you. I'm always looking for new coaching clients. Obviously, I want to help as many people as I can. So if you're interested, you know, message me. My website is themillenniallifecoach.com. But just keep that in mind, that I do work with really, really subtle things like breath work and energies and things like that. I look forward to hearing from you. If not, I hope that something in this video triggers something in you and you're able to change your life in a minuscule way, in any shape or form. Thank you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.